Welcome back to Slightly Off Center, a space for quiet observations on wisdom, growth, and the art of living skillfully. I'm glad you're here. Today's reflection is called, How Do We Learn to Dissolve When Destruction Becomes Creation? I've been sitting with this question for a while now. How do we learn to dissolve? It sounds almost contradictory, doesn't it? We spend so much energy trying to build ourselves up, keep it together, hold on to what we value. But this question kept nagging at me, especially after what happened with my parents and their lunch routine. You know how sometimes the most ordinary irritations become doorways to something profound? That's exactly what happened. I was getting driven absolutely crazy by the sound of noodle slurping every day at 2:03 p.m., and somewhere between buying kitchen renovations and diving into ancient Chinese philosophy, I realized I was actually living through the very process I was trying to understand. Let me take you through how this unfolded. It began one morning when the sun invited itself into my house, tracing the walls, landing on the kitchen cupboard. There was that loaf of bread sealed with a twist tie sitting on the counter. When I untwisted the bag, I wondered, do you still smell that same sweet scent as when you first bought it? I took a walk down the street later. Hot air stuck to my skin, sweat escaping from my body, ready to be vaporized in the air. The music of the ice cream truck faded in around the corner. My heart lightened up in this hot weather. I got the ice cream, and I better lick fast. The ice cream started to lose its form, oozing down the cone while I cooled down as the ice cream traveled down to my stomach. Form changes due to sound, due to time, and due to environment. Even our breath changes from air to mist in the winter. These small transformations mirror something much larger. Volcanoes embody both destruction and creation. Magma and debris flows destroy everything in their path while creating new land and covering grounds with rich soil for planting. The paradox of volcanoes brings me new understanding of life and death. Perhaps life and death are not so far from each other. It is not really either life or death. In death we see life, and in life we also witness death. The seemingly stable structure of relationship or identity can be taken away easily, and through destruction, another form of system arises. This reminds me of a seminar hosted by Venerable Changja at Dharma Drum Mountain, Toronto. In the seminar, Venerable Changja talked about how conditions in life are always changing, and how understanding this interdependence allows us to respond more skillfully to what unfolds. From his words, he inspired me to think about how we react to life by channeling our thinking differently based on the situation rather than being fixated. By understanding that our life is between breaths, perhaps how we react within the in-between might help us live lighter. Our status, relationships, or health are like guests in our life. They might not come to stay, but perhaps are just stopping briefly to rest or to check things out. The impermanence of conditions in life got me pondering. What is the relationship between life and time? Does it come with an expiry date? How do we cultivate life while expecting its limits? I found some inspiration in Zhuangzi's The Tao of Cow. With profound understanding of a cow's anatomy, Pao Ding, the cook, was able to cut up a cow with such delicate skills that he avoided membranous ligatures, and much more, the great bones. Pao Ding achieved the best result when he worked with the condition of the cow instead of against it. Through his life, he has refined his skill to such an extent that his knife has been in service for 19 years, still cutting with such precision and care. He understood that no cows were the same, so he remained fully present every time he worked. Each situation requires fresh eyes and skills. Perhaps what the story is telling us is that life encompasses so much more than what it seems. Remaining flexible can help us navigate through situations more easily. Now, let me tell you about my parents and their noodles. I used to think that my parents were very noisy, especially during lunchtime. I work at a corner of the living room, an open area with high traffic, and I always thought my desk was like a security desk as everyone walks past it all the time. When the clock hits 2:03 p.m., I hear creaks from the stairs and dragging footsteps of my mom coming down to the kitchen. Flickering the light on, unloading the pot from the dishwasher, turning on the water. These noises drive me crazy. Oh, not to mention the slurping of noodles. Can you imagine both of them slurping noodles every Monday to Friday? After a while of practicing mindfulness, convincing myself that all things shall pass, it did not work. Understanding the layout of the main floor cannot be changed. I bought an island and 2 doors for our kitchen. The intention was that they stay in the kitchen and slurp their noodles. When adapting was not working, I shifted gear to find ways to solve the issue. While each condition in life is unique, I tried to approach them with different tools until I was satisfied with the result. In the process of learning to adjust, perhaps the process itself also means letting go of our old beliefs or habits? Like a volcano. Not like I exploded, but when we obtain new wisdom to deal with situations, we also let part of our old self dissolve. Since writing this down, since really understanding it, I've started noticing dissolution everywhere. In conversations that shift my perspective without me realizing it, in old habits that quietly fade when I'm not looking, in the way grief can transform into something unexpectedly fertile. The kitchen is quieter now. Those doors really did work. But the question that started all this remains, and maybe it's meant to be ongoing. What does dissolution look like in your own experience of change and growth? Because I'm starting to think that learning to dissolve isn't about giving up or letting go passively. It's about becoming so skillful with change that we can work with life's natural rhythms instead of exhausting ourselves fighting against them. Something to think about, perhaps, the next time life presents you with your own version of noodle slurping at 2:03 p.m. You can find the full written version of this reflection on my Substack, along with other explorations of wisdom, growth, and the art of living skillfully. If this reflection resonates, I invite you to subscribe to Slightly Off Center. I share weekly thoughts on wisdom, growth, and the quieter questions that shape us. Thanks for spending this time with me. Until next time, may you find grace in what dissolves.